Alright guys, this is my 200th video, and this is something I wanted to do since I had 100 subscribers, and just kind of make a dream supercard show, I guess, maybe over 3 days. It's kind of tough to pick like who I would want to win these matches. How do you decide what's going to main event? What's going to open the show? It's really tough when you have so many talented wrestlers, and just these rosters are packed full of talent for all of these companies. Chikara, well, not necessarily CZW, Ring of Honor, Dragon Gate, TNA, WWE, they all have really great wrestlers in them. And it's really tough to decide what could main event when all of these could be really awesome matches. So I figured the best way to do this would be just to give you some matches I think would really deliver in the ring and would just make for an awesome show. My personal opinion, of course. Some of them I'm not too crazy about, but would still deliver. So that being said, I will get right into it. First thing I want to say is I would probably have at least a few of these matches called by Nigel McGuinness and Booker T. The two of them on commentary would be amazing. Maybe add Regal on there. Of course, you could switch it up throughout the show, have different guys on commentary, but Nigel and Booker at the same time, could you even imagine that? So one match I would like to see would be Mad Blanky from Dragon Gate USA, Tozawa, BB Hulk, and Uhaa Nation versus the Colony from Chikara. I think that could be pretty good. Maybe the Young Bucks versus Pac and Yoshino. Danny Havoc and Drake Younger. Let's just go ahead and throw some Big Japan guys in here versus Jun Kasai and Kobayashi in a hardcore light tubes death match. Like I said before, the placement of these matches is not necessarily the best. I just wrote down a lot of matches I think would really be cool to see, matches I personally would want to see. So I'm not really going in order here on what place I think they should be on the card. I'm just kind of throwing them out there. Sarah Del Rey versus Beth Phoenix would be the women's match. Eddie Kingston versus Bully Ray. They both have that New York thing going on, and I think they're both good workers, especially Bully Ray's been doing great as a heel. I think this could be a great match. Undertaker versus Sting. Personally, I'm not too crazy about that, but I know a lot of people have really wanted to see it, and I do think it would be cool just for them to finally have a match together, so I put that one on here. Eddie Edwards versus Jack Swagger. I was racking my brain trying to figure out who I would put Eddie Edwards in the ring against and all these companies, and I think Jack Swagger and Eddie Edwards could have a good match. I think it could be really good and surprise a lot of people. So it could be kind of a sleeper hit, I guess. AR Fox versus Evan Bourne. Both awesome high flyers. This could be a really cool match. Kyle O'Reilly is another guy. I didn't know where I would put Kyle O'Reilly if I could pick, from all these companies, because he does have a unique style, and I don't really know a lot of guys. Maybe Cody Rhodes, but then I can't picture Cody Rhodes in there taking all the kicks and being able to work like Kyle O'Reilly. So I figured just for fun, I would do Kyle O'Reilly versus The Miz. I think that would be a fine match. Just because they're both so strange and out there. Jimmy Jacobs versus Jeff Hardy. Then I wouldn't really put this on the show, but just for fun, I'm going to say Garrett Bischoff versus Ryback. Kurt Angle versus Davey Richards. That would be awesome. Both use the ankle lock. Davey Richards, we all know, amazing worker. Works 40-minute matches all over the world. Kurt Angle, same thing. Awesome work ethic. Would definitely deliver. Kind of a comedy match. Colt Cabana versus Santino. Sin Cara versus Ultramantis Black versus Samurai Del Sol. I wasn't really sure where to put them. I thought maybe Rey Mysterio would be good somewhere, but I didn't really put him on any of these matches. And I figure Sin Cara is the new Rey Mysterio type guy. Ultramantis Black would be a good fit for him, along with Samurai Del Sol. I didn't know who to go with, so I just said triple threaded. Another match I wasn't really sure how to work. I figured it would be good with AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho. And then I also thought, just based on the promos alone, Kevin Steen versus Chris Jericho would be good too. Plus, they're both Canadians. It's really hard for me to pick between those three, so I said, another triple threat. Let's do AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho versus Kevin Steen. But anyway you look at it, AJ versus Jericho, Steen versus Jericho would deliver, so putting all these guys together should still be awesome. And you can still have some brawling around with Jericho and Steen. Samoa Joe versus Sheamus, I thought could be a really cool, interesting match. I wasn't really sure who to put Joe with, and I was just thinking WWE roster, who would be a good fit for Samoa Joe, and I think Joe versus Sheamus would be interesting. Randy Orton versus the Messiah of the Backbreaker, Roderick Strong. That match would be awesome, I think. Let's say Randy Orton isn't going to go out there and just do the basics. Let's say he goes out there when he's on, because we know he can wrestle when he wants to. Randy Orton when he's on versus Roderick Strong, that's got to be awesome. The Briscoes versus Gargano and Chuck Taylor, that should deliver. Really hard to pick from tag teams. I wanted to add more tag teams here, but TNA doesn't have them. WWE we know don't have them. At least anybody worth seeing. I mean, what's the point of having a dream card if it's going to be the Briscoes versus the Usos? So it was really tough to pick with those. Ring of Honor had a ton of tag teams, but I didn't want to have Ring of Honor guys versus Ring of Honor guys. I wanted this video to be about matches from guys from different companies. So I went with those. Then I have Kane versus Abyss in a Monsters Balls match. Just for the hell of it. You know, Abyss is kind of a combination of Kane and Mankind. And I just thought that we know Abyss is probably going to take all the bumps here. But Kane versus Abyss in a Monsters Balls match would be good. Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler. There is no way these two guys would not have an awesome match. Possibly steal the entire show. That's one I've really wanted to see personally for a long time now. So I would definitely have to say Ziggler versus Roode. Here's another match I couldn't really put the guys against each other, and I would just leave someone out, so I just said another triple threat match, Douglas Williams versus Wade Barrett versus Fit Finlay. That sounds awesome to me, and it could be a great match here. Who else was it? I was thinking of putting Fit Finlay against somebody else. Another really technical wrestler. I can't remember at the moment, but I thought that could be good. Let's see, where am I here? CM Punk versus Tyler Black, that should be a good match. John Cena versus Michael Elgin. A lot of us saw the Showdown in the Sun match with Michael Elgin versus Davey Richards. Awesome, awesome match. Michael Elgin can go, and I think putting him in there with Cena would be a good match. I think that they could pull that off. Surprised a lot of people. Kings of Wrestling versus Motor City Machine Guns. That would be just a really entertaining match. Sami Callihan versus Austin Aries. Mick Foley versus the Necro Butcher. Now, I know Foley is in his prime, and I didn't want to go into the past with this video. Because if I did that, it'd be a lot of Steve Austin, versus this guy, The Rock versus this guy. So for this, I'm assuming that Mick Foley wants to go out one last time in a hardcore, hard-hitting, crazy brawl death match. This is going to be his last match ever, and he wants to go out really hardcore in here, just do a lot of crazy stuff. You put him in there with Necro Butcher, who I know is also not where he used to be. However, I think you send them both out there. Necro's probably going to take the majority of the bumps, but it would still come off really great. Mick Foley, I'm sure Necro Butcher's going to go all out being in there with Mick Foley, who I'm sure he's looked up to, and I think they could deliver a really crazy deathmatch brawl. And finally, we have Daniel Bryan versus Loki versus Christopher Daniels. From the very first ROH show, all three of these guys are now in different companies. You bring them back together like they were when they started in ROH, and you have the triple threat match between Bryan, Loki, and Christopher Daniels. Not the biggest Loki fan in the world, however, I think that match would be amazing. So yeah, that's really just a few matches I wrote down from WWE, TNA guys, ROH, Dragon Gate, CZW, Chikara, and a couple Big Japan guys. It's really tough, like I said, to pick what would main event with matches like this. Undertaker Sting, Davey Richards versus Kurt Angle, Cena versus Elgin. Ton of great matches here that could main event anywhere. And I just thought that this would be a really cool show if they split it up into maybe a 3-day extravaganza or something like that. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Like I said, it's really tough to pick winners here and not look biased because I do like a lot of these indie guys. I would probably put Elgin over Cena, so I don't want to really go through winners and losers here because I'm just throwing out some matches I personally think would be awesome to watch and see. Just some dream matches a lot of people have had, and that's really it. So yeah, I think all these companies and organizations have great wrestlers, great rosters, and they all have really talented guys on them, guys who deserve a lot more exposure. And I mean, this, you can't go wrong with this. These are the best companies in America right now, and Big Japan. So yeah, that's really it, guys. I hope you like this video. Leave your thoughts on in the comments below, what you think of these matches and what your dream matches would be if you had access to the rosters of all these organizations. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video, my 200th video, and I'll be on my way to 300 videos soon. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.